I just finished talking to 7 different ex-casino employees, people who spent years working inside some of the biggest casinos in Vegas. And when I asked each one of them the same question, how do you actually win at slot machines, something incredible happened. All 7 of them gave me the exact same answer. And it's probably not what you think. See, I expected to hear about lucky machines, or timing, or some secret code. But what they told me instead completely changed how I look at every casino floor. And once you hear what they said, you'll never walk past a slot machine the same way again. These weren't just any casino workers that I managed to track down. I'm talking about people who spent decades inside the machine, slot technicians who literally fixed the computers, floor managers who watched every play, security chiefs who saw everything from the cameras above, people who signed agreements when they left saying they'd never talk about certain things. But enough time has passed, and they finally agreed to tell me what they never told customers. The first guy I talked to was a slot technician for 12 years at 3 different casinos on the Strip. This is someone who opened up those machines every single day, who knew exactly how the software worked, who could tell you down to the penny how much each machine was programmed to pay out over time. Then there was the floor manager who worked at one of the biggest casino chains for 8 years. She's the person who decided where every machine got placed, who watched the patterns of how people played, who knew exactly which machines were making the most money and why. I also spoke with a security chief who spent 15 years watching everything from those cameras you see in the ceiling. He saw every win, every loss, every person who walked in with a plan and walked out broke. He knew which strategies actually worked and which ones were just wishful thinking. The host I talked to worked with VIP players and regular customers for over a decade. She's the one who decided who got comps, who got invited back, who got the free rooms and buffets. She knew exactly how the casino kept people playing longer than they planned. There was also a dealer who worked table games but spent his breaks studying the slot floor because he was fascinated by the psychology of it all. An auditor who knew every financial detail of how these machines performed month after month. And a veteran slot attendant who helped thousands of people over 20 years and saw every possible way people tried to beat the system. 7 different people from 3 major Vegas casinos. People who fixed the machines, watched the floors, counted the money, and knew exactly how everything really worked behind the scene. But here's what shocked me when I started asking my questions. I expected to get 7 different theories, 7 different approaches, maybe even some conflicting advice. Instead, when I asked each one separately how to beat the slots, they didn't give me 7 different answers. Every single one of them pointed to the exact same thing, and it wasn't a machine to play, or a time to play, or some secret button sequence. What they told me was something completely different, something that most people who walk into casinos never even think about. And the more I listened to what they were saying, the more I realized that this wasn't just advice about gambling. This was about understanding something fundamental about how casinos really work and why most people lose money even when they start out winning. What they told me completely changed how I look at every casino floor. And once you hear it, you'll never walk past a slot machine the same way again. But first, you need to understand what they told me about what casinos are actually doing to your money from the moment you sit down. Because what these employees revealed about the real game being played isn't what's happening on your screen. It's what's happening in your head, and casinos have spent millions figuring out exactly how to control it. Here's what every single ex-employee told me, and they all said it in slightly different ways, but the message was identical. There is no secret to winning at slot machines, but there absolutely is a secret to not losing everything, and casinos pray you never figure it out. The slot technician put it to me straight up. He said, "Listen, I've been inside these machines for over a decade. The random number generator doesn't care if you've been playing for 5 minutes or 5 hours. It doesn't care if the last spin was a winner or a loser. Every single spin is completely independent and random. But here's what's not random: what the casino does to keep you playing." Then the floor manager told me basically the same thing from a different angle. She said, "The machines themselves are fair. They're regulated. They're tested. They do exactly what they're programmed to do. But the casino isn't just running one game. They're running a psychological operation, and most people don't even realize they're playing that game too." The security chief was even more direct. He told me, "I watched people win $500, $1,000, even $5,000. They gave it all back plus whatever they brought with them, because they thought winning meant they were hot or lucky or had figured something out. But winning just means the random number generator happened to hit at that moment." Then the host said something that really got my attention. She told me, "The secret isn't about beating the slots. The secret is about understanding what the casino is actually doing to your money. and why people walk out broke, even when they spend most of their time winning. All 7 of them. Different jobs, different perspectives, but pointing to the exact same thing. See, while everyone's trying to crack some imaginary code, or find the hot machine, or figure out patterns that don't exist, these insiders know something different. They know the real game isn't about what's happening on the screen. The real game is about psychology, about time, about how long you stay, and how much you're willing to risk. The random number generator in every slot machine is tested and certified to be completely random. That's not marketing talk, that's actual regulation. In Nevada, these machines are inspected by the Gaming Control Board, and the software has to prove it's genuinely random before it can be installed in a casino. But here's what the employees know that most players don't. Random doesn't mean fair from your perspective. Random means you have no control over when you win or lose. And casinos have built an entire system around keeping you playing during the times when random isn't going your way. They know that if you sit at a machine long enough, you'll eventually hit something that feels like a win. And they know that when you do win, you'll probably think it means you're onto something good, so you'll keep playing. And they know that statistically, the longer you play, the more likely you are to lose everything you brought, plus whatever you won along the way. The secret they all exposed isn't about finding a way to beat randomness. It's about understanding how casinos use that randomness against you, and how to play a completely different game than everyone around you. But knowing this secret is only half the battle. Because what they told me next about how casinos specifically target older players, and the psychological tricks they use that most people never even notice. That's the part that'll really open your eyes to what's actually happening every time you walk onto a casino floor. And once you see how calculated and deliberate these tactics are, you'll understand why that strategy all 7 employees recommended is the only thing that actually works against a system designed to separate you from your money. Every single employee I talked to mentioned the same thing about casino operations, and this was something I had no idea about before these conversations. Casinos have a completely different playbook for players over 50, and it's designed around keeping you playing longer than you planned, more comfortably than you expected, and with more emotional investment than you realized you were making. The host was incredibly detailed about this, because it was literally her job to implement these strategies. She told me, "We track everything through your player's card, not to cheat you. The games are random and regulated, but to know exactly when to offer you that free buffet, or that room discount, or those free slot dollars that make you think you should stay just a little longer." She explained how they analyze your playing patterns through the card data, how long you typically play, what denomination you prefer, how much you usually bring when you tend to get up and leave, and then they time their offers perfectly to extend your session. The floor manager told me about the physical design elements I never noticed. She said, "The chairs at slot machines aren't random heights. The machines that target older players have specific chair heights and back support designed for comfort during extended play. The screens are angled and the button layouts are designed for people who might have arthritis or limited mobility." But here's the part that really got my attention. The security chief told me, "We know that older players typically bring a set amount and want to make it last. They're not usually chasing massive jackpots like younger players. So everything from the bonus round frequency to the small win patterns is calibrated to make that money last longer while keeping the entertainment value high." The slot technician explained how this works on the software level. He said, "There are different volatility settings for different machine types. Low volatility machines pay out smaller wins more frequently. They're specifically programmed to create that feeling of almost breaking even that keeps people playing, because it feels like they're not really losing." What they're describing is basically a psychological comfort system. They want you to feel relaxed, entertained, and like you're getting good value for your money. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that if you understand it's happening. The problem is that most people don't realize how calculated it all is. You think you're just having fun playing some games, but there's actually a sophisticated system designed around extending your playing time and maximizing your lifetime value as a customer. The free drinks, the comfortable seating, the loyalty points, the birthday offers, the free play credits. None of that is random generosity. It's all calculated based on data about how much you typically spend and how to encourage you to spend a little more, or stay a little longer, or come back a little sooner than you otherwise would. And here's the thing that all the employees emphasized. This system works because it's not based on cheating or rigging games. It's based on understanding human psychology and creating an environment where people make predictable decisions about time and money. The dealer I spoke with put it perfectly. He said, The casino doesn't need to cheat to win. They just need people to play longer than they planned and bet more than they intended. And they've figured out exactly how to create that situation for different types of players. But understanding how this system works is actually the key to the strategy that all 7 employees recommended. Because once you know what they're trying to accomplish, you can use their own system to your advantage instead of letting it work against you. And that's where the real strategy comes in. The one thing that all these insiders told me turns their own carefully designed system completely on its head. Because what they're about to tell me about bankroll compartments is something that casino management apparently never wants regular players to figure out, and you'll understand why once you hear how it works. When I asked each employee what strategy actually works against everything they just described, every single one of them mentioned the same approach. They called it different names, but they were all describing the same system. And it's not about which machine to play, or when to play it, or any kind of gambling technique. It's about something called bankroll compartments. And according to these insiders, it's the one thing that casino management never wants you to learn. The floor supervisor broke it down for me step by step. She said, "Here's what you do. Whatever amount you're willing to lose, and I mean actually lose, never see again, you divide that into separate sessions. If you brought $200, that might be 4 $50 sessions, or $200 sessions. The amount doesn't matter. What matters is that you never, ever touch the next session's money." But then she told me the part that's apparently crucial. Here's the key that most people mess up. When you win anything, and I mean anything, even if it's just $20, you immediately pocket that money and consider it completely separate from your session bankroll. That money is off limits for the rest of your time in the casino. The security chief explained why this works from his perspective watching thousands of people play. He said, "The casino's entire profit model depends on people giving back their winnings. I've watched people win $50 and immediately put it back trying to win $100. Win $200 and put it back, trying to win $500. We know that 89% of people who win will reinvest those winnings trying to win more." The host was incredibly specific about the numbers. She told me, "Our internal data shows that when someone pockets a win immediately and doesn't touch it, they're playing a completely different game than everyone around them. Instead of trying to build on wins, which is statistically impossible over time, they're collecting small profits while limiting their risk." The auditor I spoke with had access to the financial performance data of different player types. He said, "Players who use strict session limits and pocket wins have dramatically different loss patterns than typical players. They might lose their session money, but they walk out with something in their pocket more often than not." But the slot technician told me something that really made this click for me. He said, "The random number generator doesn't care about your previous spins, but it also doesn't care about your future spins. So when you win, that win has absolutely no connection to what will happen next. People think winning means they're hot or due for more, but every spin is completely independent." What these employees are describing is basically a way to turn the casino's psychological system against itself. Instead of playing their game of time extension and reinvestment, you're playing a completely different game focused on capital preservation and small profit collection. Here's how it works in practice. Let's say you decide you're willing to lose $100 for entertainment. Instead of playing with that $100 as one big bankroll, you divide it into smaller pieces, maybe for $25 sessions. You sit down with your first $25. If you lose it, you're done with that session. You take a break, get something to eat, maybe try a different machine later with your second session money. But if you win anything, even if you just turn that 25 into 35, you immediately pocket that $10 and continue playing with only the original 25. The psychological effect is huge. Instead of feeling like you need to risk more to win more, you're constantly taking money off the table. Instead of experiencing the emotional roller coaster of big wins followed by bigger losses, you're collecting small, consistent profits while limiting your downside risk. And here's the part that the employees emphasized. This approach completely neutralizes most of the casino's psychological tactics. The free drinks and comfortable environment and loyalty points are all designed to keep you playing longer with more money at risk. But when you're operating with strict session limits and pocketing wins immediately, those tactics lose most of their power over your decision making. The dealer put it perfectly when he told me, when you pocket wins immediately and stick to your compartments, you're not trying to beat the casino. You're just trying not to lose to the casino. And over time, not losing is the closest thing to winning that exists in a place where the house edge is built into every game. But there's one more piece to this that most people mess up completely, and it has to do with the specific machines these employees told me to avoid at all costs. because apparently some slot machines are specifically designed to destroy this compartment strategy, and they're usually the most popular machines in the casino. And when you hear which machines they warned me about, and why these machines are psychological traps designed to make you break your own rules, you'll never look at a casino floor the same way. When I asked about specific machines, all 7 employees mentioned certain types of slots faster than others, and they're almost always the most popular, most exciting-looking machines in the casino. According to these insiders, these machines are specifically engineered to make you break the compartment strategy I just described. The slot technician was absolutely brutal about this topic. He told me, progressive jackpots, penny slots with 100 or more pay lines, anything with a celebrity theme or a TV show tie-in. These machines are designed with house edges that can be double what you'll find on basic 3 reel games. He explained the math behind it. A basic 3 reel slot might have a house edge of around 3 to 5%, but these multi-line penny slots can have house edges of 8 to 12% because people don't understand how the betting structure works. You think you're betting a penny, but you're actually betting 50 cents or $1 per spin when you factor in all the active pay lines. The floor manager told me about the placement strategy. She said, "We put these machines in the most visible locations because they generate excitement and attract crowds. When people see someone else getting bonus rounds and hearing all the sounds and lights, they want that experience too. But those machines are designed for high volume, fast play that burns through bankrolls quickly." The security chief had a different perspective on the same issue. He told me, "I watched people sit down at progressive machines with $100 and burn through it in 15 minutes because they were betting maximum lines trying to qualify for the jackpot. These machines are psychologically designed to make you bet more per spin than you intended. But the host gave me the most detailed explanation of how this works." She said, "Celebrity-themed machines and progressive games create what we call aspiration inflation. People start thinking about the big jackpot or the bonus round they saw in the commercial, and they end up betting way more per spin than they would on a simple machine. They break their own budget rules because the machine makes them feel like they're close to something big." The auditor confirmed this with actual data. He told me, "Players on high-denomination, progressives, and multi-line penny slots have the fastest loss rates per hour of any machine type. Even when they hit bonus rounds or small progressives, they typically reinvest everything trying to hit the big one." What these employees are describing is basically a psychological trap designed to make you abandon the disciplined approach that actually works. These flashy machines create an emotional experience that overrides rational decision-making about money and time. The progressive jackpots are particularly problematic because they create a lottery mentality. You start thinking about what you'd do with $50,000 instead of thinking about the fact that your odds of winning it are essentially zero, and you're probably going to lose whatever you brought while chasing it. The multi-line penny slots are deceptive because they make you think you're making small bets. But when you add up all the active pay lines, you might be betting $1 or more per spin without realizing it. And the frequent small wins created by multiple pay lines make you feel like you're doing well even when you're losing money overall. Celebrity-themed machines and games based on TV shows create emotional attachment that has nothing to do with the actual gambling. You're not just playing a slot machine anymore. You're interacting with characters or storylines you have feelings about, which makes it much harder to walk away when you should. The employees all emphasize that these machines aren't rigged or cheating. They're just designed with psychological features that encourage longer play and higher bets per spin. The random number generators are still random, and the payout percentages are still posted somewhere on the machine. But the overall design is intended to maximize revenue per player. The veteran slot attendant summarized it perfectly. She told me, "The machines that look boring, basic 3-reel games, simple video poker, old-style slots without all the bells and whistles, those are often where you can actually stretch your money and stick to your compartment strategy. The exciting machines are designed to make you forget about strategy entirely." And here's the part that really surprised me about what these employees do when they gamble themselves. Their approach is completely different from what they saw customers doing every day, and it explains why they're able to enjoy casinos without destroying their finances. Because when people who understand the system better than anyone choose to gamble, their behavior reveals exactly what works and what doesn't when you're trying to have fun without losing more than you can afford. This was the part of my conversations that really opened my eyes. Actually do when they decide to gamble, every single one had the same routine. And it's the complete opposite of how 99% of casino visitors approach the slots. The slot technician told me his exact process. He said, "I bring exactly what I can afford to lose, which for me is usually $50. I look for machines with return to player percentages of 96% or higher. You can usually find this information on the machine or by asking. And I set a timer on my phone for exactly 1 hour, regardless of whether I'm winning or losing." The floor manager had a similar approach, but with different numbers. She told me, "I bring $100 divided into 4 $25 sessions. I only play video poker or basic slot games, never progressives or multi-line machines. And most importantly, I never ever chase losses. If I lose my session money, I take a break and do something else." But the security chief told me something that really stuck with me. He said, "I treat gambling like paying for entertainment, not like trying to make money. If I want to spend $50 on entertainment, I might go to a movie or a nice dinner, or I might go to a casino. But I never expect to get that $50 back, just like I don't expect the movie theater to refund my ticket price." The host was very specific about timing and location. She told me, "I only gamble during off-peak hours when the casino isn't crowded, usually midweek mornings. The machines pay out the same regardless of when you play, but there are better comps and promotions during slow periods, and I can think more clearly without all the noise and excitement." The auditor told me about his machine selection process. He said, "I stick to machines with low volatility, which means they pay out smaller wins more frequently instead of rare big wins. I can find this information online or by asking slot hosts. Low volatility machines let me play longer with the same bankroll while keeping the entertainment value high." But the dealer gave me the perspective that really made everything click. He told me, "When I gamble, I'm not trying to beat the casino. I know that's statistically impossible over time. I'm just trying to have fun for a specific amount of time with a specific amount of money. And if I happen to walk out with more than I brought, that's a bonus." What all these employees are describing is a completely different relationship with gambling than most people have. They're not trying to solve a financial problem or hit a life-changing jackpot. They're treating it like any other form of paid entertainment, but with very strict rules about time and money. The key difference is that they all separate entertainment value from profit potential. When you go to a movie, you don't expect to make money. You pay for 2 hours of entertainment. These employees approach gambling the same way. They're paying for a specific amount of entertainment time, and they're not expecting to profit from it. But the really important part is how disciplined they are about their limits. They don't bring extra money just in case. They don't extend their time because they're winning or losing. They don't make emotional decisions about when to quit. They decide everything before they start playing, and then they stick to their plan, no matter what happens. The floor manager put it best when she told me, "I know these machines better than almost anyone, and I know the odds never change based on my feelings or my recent results. So I treat it like paying for entertainment with a strict time and money budget, just like any other entertainment expense." This approach neutralizes almost everything that casinos do to encourage longer play and higher spending. The free drinks and comfortable environment and exciting bonus rounds are all designed to make you emotional about gambling instead of rational. But when you have predetermined limits and you're treating it like any other entertainment expense, those psychological tactics lose their power. The security chief summarized it perfectly. He told me, "When casino employees gamble, we're not trying to beat the system we know better than anyone. We're just trying to enjoy it responsibly without destroying our finances." And the only way to do that is with strict rules that you never break, regardless of what's happening in the moment. So now you know what 7 casino insiders told me about the real secret to gambling. It's not about beating the slots. It's about understanding what casinos are really trying to accomplish and playing a completely different game than everyone around you. But there's one final thing you need to understand about why this approach works when everything else fails. These employees didn't give me a way to win at gambling. They gave me a way to enjoy gambling without losing more than I can afford. And once you understand that distinction, you realize that's probably the only kind of winning that's actually possible in a place where every game is designed with a mathematical advantage for the house. The real secret isn't about finding a way to beat randomness. It's about using discipline and predetermined limits to enjoy randomness without letting it destroy your finances. And that's something anyone can do, regardless of which machines they play or when they play them. If this changed how you think about casinos, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what surprised you most about what these employees revealed.